Oh. We should call roll first. We should call roll call first. Paris? Ledford? Kuehl, Barger not present, but we do have a quorum.
I'll move approval of the minutes.
It's Kuehl is the director and Barger is the alternate director.
There we go. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, there's a motion to approve the minutes. All in favor? Aye. It passes.
Item 1 was approved unanimously.
With the understanding I wasn't here at the last meeting. But,
Correct.
okay, thank you. Where are we on the legal fees?
We brought this item to the last meeting in November, and that item was deferred, so it's back on the agenda today. But let me summarize the report. I'm not sure we got through all this at the last meeting, but let me summarize where we are in terms of your request to look into an audit of our legal fees. District Council did talk to his firm resources on third-party audits. He researched the National Association of the Legal Fee Auditors and spoke to a couple of experts from that association. I did receive one proposal from a gentleman that he had spoken to, a local attorney who does third-party audits. We proposed a scope that would include a review of a sample of the litigation fees as well as a sample of the retainer fees. The estimated cost for that was over about a 6-month sample period was around $30,000. Would review the billings and then we would report back to the board.
Would this be in conjunction with the, what is it, Sanitation District 20? Is that right? What's Palmdale?
This would only be for 14, sir. The request was made for 14, and that's what we were looking at.
I know this is uncomfortable. I mean, it'd be uncomfortable for me if I were you, but we're concerned. We're concerned that there's this huge discrepancy between the districts, and we don't understand it, and we don't like it. And there it is.
The chief engineer, that statement was also made at the last meeting, and a request for a reason why there was a disparity in the amount of attorney fees between the two districts. And the chief engineer, as reported in the minutes, explained that the principal reasons are, one, the very large breach of contract suit that was pending here in District 14 related to the expansion and construction of the Lancaster water treatment plant, the Taisei case as it was known. And then also based on the difference in the size of sewage units between the two districts.
I'm sorry, louder.
The our system metric, if you will, is a sewage unit, which is roughly the equivalent to the wastewater burden on our system from a single-family home. In our joint administration agreement, common administrative matters such as retainer matters are allocated by sewage unit, the amount of sewage units in any given district. It's essentially a surrogate for the size of the sewer system. So District 20 has around 40,000 sewage units in its system. District 14 has about 67,000 sewage units. It's a little bit bigger system, a little bit bigger share of the allocated cost. But all District 14 specific expenses are allocated to District 14 as they are in District 20.
I'm confused. So we have a common pool, right? And based upon the number of customers, that's how the legal fees, other than what, are allocated?
Staff costs, the costs of operating the the joint system. That's how the costs are allocated, as was just explained, based on the number of sewage units. However, as the chief engineer also just explained, specific costs like litigation in District 14 or in another district are billed specifically just to that district. So that very large litigation that I referred to earlier was billed exclusively to District 14.
And that's what I want audited. I want to know that Mr. Ledford isn't having you bill a greater portion of it into our district rather than his district. And that's one of those things people don't talk about, but especially in light of the criminal charges pending against him, we are suspicious. And let's not beat around the bush about it. The assumption or the presumption that everything is being done on the up and up no longer exists, nor could it exist. And we are not going to be blind to the reality that we're confronted with. And as long as he continues to sit on this board and insist on sitting on this board, rather than have one of the other councilmen, we're going to go through everything with a fine-tooth comb, starting with the bills. Now, how did you come up with this person to do it?
The expert that the chief engineer referred to is Mr. Andre Giardini, who is a member of the National Association of Legal Fee Analysis. We contacted that organization. The National Organization of Legal Fee Analysis, or NALFA, is a nonprofit professional association for the legal analysis field. Its members provide a wide range of services on attorney fee and legal billing matters, including legal auditing of bills. So we were happy to see that they had a highly recommended member local. They have people all across the country. But Mr. Giardini is based in Glendale, has over 30 years of legal experience and doing this kind of auditing and expert experience. He gives testimony in cases on the reasonableness of attorney fees. Okay. So that's how we found him. I communicated with him and another member of the NALFA group as well. And we felt that based on his experience, based on his hourly rate, which was, I believe, $255 an hour for his work, $125 an hour for his assistance, that he was the best choice for this kind of an operation if we were to do it.
Okay. Mark, have Allison check them out and see if that's who we should be using. Well, I guess we have to vote on it, don't we?
Yes, this is an action that would require board action, like any other.
Okay, well, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to no longer meet monthly. We're going to meet quarterly. Do you see a problem with that?
No, we can do our best to group items quarterly, and then if something comes up, we can schedule a special meeting with your concurrence.
Okay, that's what we'll do. I want to limit Mr. Ledford's contact with the city of Lancaster to as much as I possibly can, especially when you vote on expenditures of our monies, until those criminal charges have resolved. And I guess that's the way to do it. We will have a report back from the city of Lancaster on the viability of this particular company to do the audit, and then I'll make the motion at that time. And could we communicate with the supervisor's office the need for her to attend the next quarterly meeting? Okay, thank you.
I would just like to clarify in terms of the quarterly meeting, so when would you propose the next meeting be?
It would be in 3 months.
3 months from now.
Yeah.
And then the supervisors do meet on Tuesdays.
So we'll just move it around to accommodate her schedule.
Okay.
Okay. And there's not any issues that would be involving any of the farmers or any of the recent things we've been doing that quarterly is going to interfere with, right?
I don't think so. There may be consulting services or something to that effect, but I would have to go back and check with our staff on what items are coming up in the next 3 months.
Okay.
Like the budget item.
Well, we will do the budget items in the spring. The rates are previously approved, but we can do that in 3 months.
Okay, just,
So that's not-
just notify me if we have to have a meeting for any reason that the district needs one.
We'll do that. We'll do
But
that.
otherwise, I think this is an enormous waste of resources doing it every month.
In order to change the meetings permanently, an action would need to be placed on the agenda to set new meeting date and time. But what I can do is continue to cancel meetings when there are no items listed on the agenda.
Well, let's do
Until the
that,
date we
and let's do
choose to
that for the
meet.
next 3 months, and then we'll figure out where we're at, okay? I think this problem's going to take care of itself in the next 6 months or so. All right? Good,
Okay.
thank you. Short agenda.
Does the board want to hear any public statements or comments or anything like that before we adjourn?
Any public comments?
I have not received any requests.
Well, I got a comment.
Good.
I appreciate the fact we want to reset the whole guise of an audit. We're now disparaging differences between the districts, and that's always good to pay attention to that stuff, but that is not the premise of the threat of this audit. This threat of this audit was made in retaliation to our district council correcting a misstatement that was made by a temporary chairman that indicated my speaking to a client would put me in a conflict of interest. Very simple, very clear. That's what started this whole thing. So today to hear about a need to analyze both districts, I find that to be very interesting. But we'll walk down that path. But let's let it be clear, this didn't start with this. It started with the district council correcting a misstatement that would have impinged on my ability to vote on an item. And it turned out to be not true, and the record was corrected. And here is a way to try to punish him for doing that, and I'm not going to buy into that. Quite frankly, all of this can be done at a district level. We have a personnel committee that oversees this stuff. They approve contracts, they do reviews, they do audits. And quite frankly, I think if this is that important, maybe you need to go approach the personnel committee and put your cards on the table with them.
It's astonishing to me that you would open that door. Mr. Ledford, when you stole that money from NASA and from the entities in Palmdale, you stole it from every single child in the Antelope Valley, including the children of Lancaster. And there isn't any dispute that you stole that money. Even you would agree you stole that money, wouldn't you?
You're amazing.
Well, wouldn't you? Didn't you take money for work you didn't perform? And didn't that money come directly from a NASA grant that was for the benefit of the children of the Antelope Valley? Isn't that accurate?
I have no statement. We're not going to talk about the case.
Well, wait a minute. You brought it up.
No, you brought it up.
Wait a minute. You brought it up and said that this was retaliation because the council for the sanitation district, without anybody asking them to, wrote a letter to the editor in defense of you.
A
Now-
correct letter.
No, it turns out that if you look at what happened in that hearing, what Marvin said was absolutely correct. What he said was, there's no law preventing you from sitting here. We have to just bite our tongue and have you come in with felony criminal charges. How many counts are pending against you? That you continue it and continue it and continue it, so there is no resolution, and you hide behind this cloak of innocent until proven guilty, but yet you won't face 12 people to have them decide your guilt or innocence. And keep in mind, Mr. Ledford, it's all on the public record. I mean, you testified to it under oath. You said you did it. Can't you understand that if the citizens of Palmdale want to tolerate your presence, that's fine. But the citizens of Lancaster haven't voted you in for anything. And we do not want that level of corruption in our city. Why don't you just send another council member to sit here? Why do you insist on on inserting yourself in our affairs.
Because I'm the assigned rep.
No, you assigned yourself, Mr. Ledford. Let's be clear about that. There is nothing to prevent you from sending another councilman to sit in your chair. And then when we see millions of dollars being spent on our district and a joint representation with the district in Palmdale, that certainly requires due diligence. Now, I can imagine that council would not have written that letter had he known this maelstrom was going to occur as a result. But the fact of the matter is he did. And he did it in defense of you, and it was totally gratuitous.
He did
and
the right
that
thing.
raises our suspicions.
Did the right thing.
The right thing in what?
Don't punish him for doing his job.
I'm not punishing anybody. I want an audit to make certain that the billing is fair and equitable
But
and
that's
reasonable.
not what you said the day of the meeting. It wasn't about the audit of fair between the districts. It was about him writing the letter. And you're going to show him that I'll
certainly.
punish you with an audit.
Well, you use the word punish, and I can understand why the word punish is at the top of your brain. If I were you, I'd be really concerned about punishment. But it's not about punishment. It's about due diligence. I do not think that attorneys should gratuitously write letters in the defense of one member of the board when nobody asked him to do so.
Well,
That is just
misstatements are made that are incorrect, that are
So,
not
Mr.
facts,
Ledford,
then they
did
should
you-
be corrected.
Did you ask counsel to write that letter?
Sir,
Or did
we're-
you have your city manager call and ask him to write that letter? What was your involvement in that letter that meant nothing? It didn't dispute anything Mr. Chris said.
Obviously, it's created something because you're taking a great interest.
No, I'm responding to your criticism, which is totally specious. Now, I'm asking you, what was your involvement in council writing that letter? You brought it up.
No, I believe the misstatement was in the paper, needed to be corrected.
What misstatements specifically are you referring to?
To discussions with a potential, I'm going to say client, that's not the right word, an applicant for an initiative that we're being considered. And so we're not supposed to talk to those people. That's the statement that was made. That's incorrect. We can and we should.
Oh, I think what you're referring to is the fact that there were, again, millions of dollars coming before this board that we had to vote on, and us finding out that you were meeting with them privately. And given your history, and it is a long and sordid history of taking money from people who rely on you to vote for their projects, it is absolutely essential that Mr. Christ made those inquiries. And the fact of the matter is you've testified to the fact that you don't hesitate to take money from people. You're corrupt, Mr. Ledford. Let's be clear about that. We know you're corrupt, and the fact that I have to sit next to you on this board, it imbues me with a level of disgust I don't think I've ever felt before. So why don't you send somebody who doesn't have numerous felony counts hanging over their head to sit here until 12 people decide just how corrupt you are? Now, do you want to continue this discussion? Because
I've said everything I want to say. Are you done?
as long as you sit here, I guess I cannot be done with this issue. All right. Meeting's adjourned.